I'm Dr. John Go. I'm an eye surgeon in LA, and I've lost 75 pounds and kept it off, despite the rigorous demands of surgical training. In this video, I'll break down exactly what I would do if I had to lose that 75 pounds again to get from 40% body fat back down to 11% body fat. I'll guide you through a system designed to help busy people like you drop fat, gain muscle, and regain control of your health in as little time as possible. By the end, you'll walk away with actionable steps that eliminate guesswork and help you reclaim your body. But before we jump into the specifics, let's address the most common cause people don't hit their weight loss and fitness goals. They don't course correct. Let's say you're a pilot and you're doing a transatlantic flight. If you don't periodically check that you're headed in the right direction, small fractions of degrees of deviation would leave you wildly off target. Same thing goes with weight loss. People set a plan and fail to adjust that plan. A pillar of what I teach to my clients is comparing real-world weight loss to expected weight loss. If those don't line up, then you know something has got to change. This becomes even more important after the initial pounds come off. A common misconception is that fat loss is linear, but in reality, it's anything but that. In general, a rate of about 0.5 to 1% of weight loss per week is healthy and sustainable. If you're aiming to lose 75 pounds, you're going to be able to lose much more initially because you have more weight to lose, but your rate will naturally slow as those pounds come off. For me, losing 75 pounds would take about 9 months at about a 1% rate of weight loss per week. There are a bunch of physiologic reasons for this, but the long and the short of it is that your body is always seeking a state of homeostasis. That is, it doesn't like change, and it'll resist change as you get leaner. Before I go any further, this is for education only, not medical advice. I am a medical doctor, but I'm not your medical doctor. So always seek professional medical care before implementing any changes. Now, let's get into creating your own personalized system. Step 1, get your numbers right. Weight loss is simple math. Let's take money, for example. If you spend more money than you make, you go broke, right? Well, if you eat more calories than you burn, you gain weight. But if you burn more calories than you eat, you lose weight. So let's start by calculating your daily energy or caloric needs. A good place to start is to multiply your body weight by 12 to 15 for maintenance, depending on your activity level. Lower if you're sedentary, higher if you're more active. And reduce that by about 500 to 1,000 calories per day for fat loss. There are a slew of calculators online to help you more accurately calculate this. Nowadays, you can use AI to help automate this for you. Copy and paste this prompt. Calculate my TDEE and macros for sustainable weight loss. I am X years old, male or female, weight in pounds, height in feet and inches, and my activity level is X, Y, and Z. I want to lose 0.5 to 1% of my body weight per week. Provide my estimated calorie and protein targets, aiming for 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of target body weight or lean body mass. Understanding these numbers sets a solid initial foundation for your weight loss journey. You'll know how much to eat and how much protein to consume. With the numbers in place, it's time to ensure your environment supports your goals. Step 2, set yourself up for success or modify your environment. We are the sum of all of our decisions. Why not limit the amount of decisions that actually require willpower? So let's modify the environments we spent the most time in. At home, remove alcohol and liquid calories, including soda. Let's zero in on alcohol for a minute. It's public enemy number 1 for weight loss. Simply eliminating alcohol is one of the key unlocks in weight loss. Reason number 1, it's empty calories. A standard beer packs 150 calories, wine 125, cocktails over 200, all with zero nutrition. That's like drinking dessert after dessert, thousands of calories over a weekend for some. Studies linked even moderate drinking to 20 to 30% higher daily calorie intake overall. Reason number 2, it signals your body to store fat. Your liver prioritizes metabolizing alcohol over everything else because it's a poison. This stops fat burning for hours or even days. Reason number 3, it amplifies hunger and cravings. Alcohol lowers inhibitions and ramps up ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, while suppressing leptin, your I'm full hormone. The result? Midnight munchies for greasy takeout with little self-control. Reason number 4, it destroys sleep. Even one drink fragments the most important stages of sleep, spiking cortisol and tanking recovery. Poor sleep means slower metabolism and more muscle loss while eating in a calorie deficit. Reason number 5, it tanks testosterone by 20 to 30%, and temporarily boosts estrogen, promoting fat gain around the belly. This means weaker workouts and stalled gains. Picture this: ditch 2 daily drinks, say 2 beers at 300 calories total. That's potentially 30 pounds of fat loss in a year. Same goes with soda. If you drink 2 standard cans of Coca-Cola a day, that's about 300 calories total. Cutting those 2 daily sodas out equates to about 30 pounds of fat loss in just 1 year from doing nothing else but cutting out your soda intake. Optimizing your home environment minimizes temptation and sets you up for success with less willpower. Now, let's talk about the tools we'll use to make sure you stay on track. Step 3, know where you measure up. You have to know where you stand to know if you're making progress or going backwards. This is the step most people miss. There are a bunch of different metrics you can use, but what I use for myself and my clients are only 3 things. Number 1, weigh yourself daily. Studies show that frequent weighing correlates to more rapid weight loss. Make sure to standardize your weigh-ins. For me, this is first thing in the morning, after I use the restroom, wearing minimal clothing. The second metric are progress photos on a monthly basis. You want these to be well lit and taken from the front, side, and back. Again, standardize your photos. If you're flexing in one, flex in all of them, and vice versa. And make sure you're wearing something decent. You're gonna wanna show them off later when you've lost the weight. Lastly, a single tape measurement around your waistline. This is the only measurement that I feel is actually worth it because it pretty closely correlates with fat gain and fat loss. Take it at or immediately below your navel and standardize whether you're flexing or not. Take this measurement weekly. These consistent measurements help you monitor your trajectory, making adjustments clear and easier to implement. With data in hand, let's focus on how you're going to track your intake and how to use the data to adjust and make sure you're on course. Number 4, lock in your diet. Like I said before, weight loss is math. If you hit your protein goals, lift weights, and burn more calories than you eat, you will lose fat. All of these formulas, artificial intelligence, even your Fitbit, Apple Watch, Oura Ring, DEXA scan, calorie estimates are estimates at the end of the day. You have to track what you eat and compare that to real-world weight loss to get a true objective estimation of what you're burning. Track what you eat daily, weigh yourself daily. Do this for the next 2 weeks. After that, you can compare real-world weight loss to expected weight loss and get a more accurate and realistic idea of what you actually burn.
Let me show you what this looks like on the day-to-day.
Let's be real. One of the biggest reasons diets fail is because we miss our favorite foods. We try to stick to bland diet food while craving the dishes we actually love. This approach is just not sustainable. What if instead of giving up your favorite meals, you could transform them to fit your nutritional goals? What if your favorite Italian dish could be healthified to be higher in protein, lower in calories, while still tasting incredible? This is where most people get stuck. They either try to find healthy versions of recipes that taste nothing like the original, spend hours trying to calculate and modify ingredients themselves, or just give up entirely and go back to their old eating habits. But there's a much easier way using AI. Let me walk you through exactly how I use AI to transform any recipe into a meal prep friendly, macro optimized version. Step 1, pick one of your favorite meals. For me, I love Thai basil chicken. It's flavorful, satisfying, and I could eat it multiple times a week. The next step is to find a recipe online that looks good to you. Just do a quick Google search and pick the one that appeals to you. For example, I found this one from the Walks of Life. Step 3, copy the URL and paste it into ChatGPT with this prompt. Healthify this Thai basil chicken recipe to maximize protein while keeping the authentic flavors. I want to meal prep X number of meals to eat over the X number of days I want to meal prep for. I want it to fit within my daily calorie target of 2,200 calories and 160 grams of protein. Please provide a modified recipe and grocery list organized by store section and meal prep instructions. AI spits out recommendations with increased protein by swapping leaner chicken breasts and adding ingredients like egg whites. It reduced the oil and found lower calorie alternatives and substitutes to maintain flavor. It calculated the exact portions to hit my calorie and protein targets, created a complete grocery list organized by store section, and lastly, it provided me detailed step-by-step meal prep instructions that saves time. The best part is it still tastes like authentic Thai basil chicken. I'm not eating some bland substitute or chicken and broccoli. I'm eating a smarter version of what I already love. You can do this with any recipe: pasta, burgers, tacos, curry, even desserts. Just find a recipe you love and let AI transform it into a version that supports your goals. Just make sure to double check calories, macros, and the actual numbers AI gives you, because it can make mistakes. Remember what I said earlier? Set yourself up for success. Meal prepping your favorite meals decreases decision fatigue when you come back from a long day of work. Plus, it simplifies calorie calculations at the end of the day. Setting up these systems sets you up for success. Next, let's actually calculate how to course correct and make sure you're staying on track in your weight loss goals. Step 5, course correcting. The final piece of the diet puzzle is tracking your progress and making data-driven adjustments. During my weight loss journey, I hit a bunch of plateaus where my progress just stalled. Without a systematic approach to tracking and adjusting, these plateaus could have derailed my entire effort. Many people make the mistake of either not tracking at all or tracking obsessively without knowing what to do with all that data. Both approaches lead to frustration. What you need is a simple tracking system that provides actionable insights without consuming your life. And yes, AI can help with this too. Here's my streamlined approach to tracking and adjusting with AI. First, track the essentials: your weight daily, but focus on the weekly averages, and your calories daily. Having meal prep helps with this. Then, once a week, check in with your AI assistant. Here's what to ask. Based on my calorie intake of X calories per day and my average weekly weights of Y, am I on track for my goals? How can I adjust to get back on track? AI will analyze your data and provide recommendations. If you're losing weight too quickly, it might suggest increasing your calories slightly. If you've plateaued, it might recommend adjusting your macros and decreasing your calorie intake. In my course, I have an Excel tool to help with all this. But there are apps that automate this, like Macro Factor, but AI works just as well. Just make sure to double check the numbers that AI spits out. This approach turns AI into your personal nutrition coach, helping you make data-driven adjustments that keep you moving forward toward your goals. Now, we just covered energy intake. Let's move on to the second part of the puzzle: movement, or your energy output. Pay attention to the composition of the weight loss and weight gain. Compare person A, achieved a 20-pound weight loss, 10 pounds from fat, 10 pounds from muscle, to person B, only a 5-pound total weight loss, but 10 pounds from fat and gained 5 pounds in muscle. Person B is going to look much better and feel much healthier, despite person A losing 15 pounds more than person B on paper. This example illustrates that it is the composition of the weight gain or loss that ultimately matters. The goal is always to lose fat and preserve or build muscle. What are the main factors driving this? There are 2 main factors: protein intake and resistance training. If you are not taking in enough protein and are not participating in resistance training, you are more likely to lose muscle. If you are participating in resistance training and you are eating enough protein, you should minimally lose muscle mass or even gain some muscle, depending on how seasoned you are in weightlifting. Losing fat and gaining muscle simultaneously is called recomposition. And you are more likely to accomplish this if you have little experience lifting weights or if you have a lot of fat to lose. If you don't know where to start with lifting weights, check out my A to Z guide to weightlifting here. The final piece of the puzzle is making this all sustainable. The best diet isn't the one you can lose the weight fastest on. It's the one that you can stick with for years, not weeks. Even after you lose the weight, you're gonna wanna live life. Weddings, celebrations, reunions, these are all important life experiences. What's the use of looking good if you can't enjoy life? Personally, I eat on plan about 85% of the time. 5% of the time I go ham, think like all you can eat barbecue, all you can eat hot pot. The rest of the 10% of the time, which is the majority of when I eat out, I follow a few simple guidelines. Guideline number 1 is build your meal starting with protein. Go for lean meats and try to avoid deep fried foods. Number 2, limit your macronutrient categories. So what do I mean by this? If you're eating high fat, try to avoid high carb. If you're eating high carb, try to avoid high fat. For example, if I know I'm gonna eat some golden, crispy fried pork tonkatsu, I'll do my best to limit the amount of white rice I eat it with. Conversely, if I know I'm gonna eat a ton of rice, say at a Mediterranean grill, I'll opt for lean grilled or steamed protein like grilled chicken. Doing this will go a long way in limiting the amount of fat you pack on while eating out. Lastly, when you eat out, do your best to ballpark calorie estimate, being careful not to underestimate your calories. I always slightly overestimate calories to make sure I'm in a deficit, But you don't want to overestimate too much because that can take a psychological toll by the end of the day. Sustainability means you can live your life while still making progress towards your goals. Remember, this journey is about more than just weight loss. Building a healthy lifestyle is a marathon, not a sprint. It's about creating systems that make disciplined choices easier to maintain. By following my system, you'll equip yourself with the tools needed for lasting change. If you want more of a deep dive with actionable step-by-step points, check out my video course. Join me on this journey, stay consistent, and let's get to that 11% body fat together. I'm Dr. John Go, and if you're interested in fine-tuning your workout routine, check out this video here. Peace. Say hi. Say hi to the camera. Say hi. Hi, 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 hi.